The Grind, a Minnesota sports podcast.
Welcome into The Grind, a Minnesota sports podcast where the Minnesota Twins or any Minnesota major sports team hasn't won a title since 1991. It's not just a grind being a player, but it's also a grind being a sports fan of one of these four major teams. So welcome into the show. My name is Tim. Hit that subscribe button if you're watching on YouTube, and follow button if you're listening somewhere else. And rate and review the show. Hit that like button on YouTube if you're willing to do that as well. We've got some major news to cover about the Minnesota Vikings this morning, revolving around none other than JJ McCarthy. The story that will really never stop being a story from the day he was drafted until the day he's actually done being a Viking. JJ McCarthy plays the most important position in any sport and will be analyzed and examined because he does play the most important position in any sport. And there's some news by Thor Nystrom on X. He says this: I can confirm something about JJ McCarthy, that is, that the Vikings have strongly hinted at. JJ McCarthy will play in the first preseason game versus Houston August 9th. But the plan is to sit him out in the last two versus the New England Patriots August 16th and at Tennessee August 22nd. I'm going to dive into that and react to all of that. And I'm going to explain why I disagree with the Vikings' approach with JJ McCarthy. But first, I need to tell you about 5 Star Bath Solutions of Minneapolis, because they transformed our bathroom in 48 hours, a full bathroom remodel. The before pictures are up on YouTube. Before, we had a blue floor, a step going into the shower. We had mold in our shower, handrails, an outdated sink and vanity and mirror that were disgusting, a single sink. And in 48 hours, it's like magic. A new floor, a new surround, the mold was gone, a new tub, a new shower head. We went from a single to a double sink, a new vanity mirror, all in 48 hours, done by 5 Star Bath Solutions of Minneapolis. That's their guarantee. 48-hour bathroom remodels. 5 Star Bath Solutions of Minneapolis. Free consultations, affordable payment plans. 5 Star Bath Solutions of Minneapolis. All right, let's react to this report by Thor Nystrom, because there's 2 different sides of me that are coming out in this news. There's a part of me, the fanboy part of me, that's so excited to see JJ McCarthy perform. The podcast part of me is also excited to see JJ McCarthy perform, because it's another topic. You can analyze the way he threw. You can analyze the way he played. You can share what you liked, what you didn't like. You can overreact if you want to, but this podcast never overreacts, because this podcast is objective and smart. Not saying I'm objective and smart, but this podcast is objective and smart.
Huh? I really don't know what he said at the end of that sentence. I don't think he knows what he said either.
And after McCarthy plays against the Houston Texans a week from Saturday, Minnesota Vikings fans are going to be locked into their televisions because everybody wants to watch him play, because we have not seen him play in a competitive atmosphere in over a year. since he played against the Las Vegas Raiders. Now, here's where the objective side stands above the fanboy podcast side. I completely disagree with the Vikings' approach to play JJ McCarthy in any preseason game, because the risks of what could happen on any given play in a meaningless preseason game does not outweigh the experience of playing against a vanilla defense that really isn't trying to throw you off your game. The Minnesota Vikings organization has decided that playing McCarthy in a meaningless game against a defense that is not preparing to play against him is more important than guaranteeing his health in week 1 against the Chicago Bears on Monday Night Football. If JJ McCarthy gets injured against the Houston Texans, that is a fireable offense, because you are risking your entire season if McCarthy gets injured, because reports out of training camp have not been favorable for Sam Howell, the Vikings' backup QB option. And last year, McCarthy did not exit the preseason game against the Raiders because he was injured. They didn't know he was hurt until the following day. So just because he leaves unscathed against the Houston Texans doesn't necessarily mean anything yet. We have to make sure that his knee or any other areas that he takes a hit in remain under control for 48 hours. And when I look at this objectively, McCarthy, what are you trying to get out of him? Are you trying to get a quarter, a half? Definitely not more than a half. Are you looking at 1 series, 2 series? And let's say he plays good in a series or 2. Does that experience in a preseason game going to carry all the way over a month later into week 1 against the Chicago Bears? Or if McCarthy plays well against the Bears in week 1, are we really going to look back on preseason game number 1 and say, yep, because he played against the Houston Texans, a defense that was vanilla, a defense that was giving nothing in a meaningless game, that's why he played well? Does 2 series against the Houston Texans defense really going to give McCarthy enough competitive feel to transfer that over to the Chicago Bears on Monday Night Football in week 1? I think this whole idea is preposterous, every way I look at it. And one thing that is really mind-boggling is what college football has on the NFL. You've got young adults 19, 20, 21 years old, some 18 years old, playing and going to school, sort of. And they don't have any preseason games, and they have to practice less. They just got to show up ready to play. And you've got professional athletes that have been playing the game of football their entire lives, that have joint practices, that have all of these exhausting physically and mentally practices. And they need 3 preseason games to get ready for football. The NFL has changed over the last few years, and you hardly see any starters playing at all, especially at the QB position, because every NFL team knows that the risk of losing your starting quarterback in a preseason game does not outweigh the reward of him getting a series or 2 of experience that you hope could carry over to a regular season game. A preseason game is not comparable to a regular season game. Week 1 in the preseason against the Houston Texans is not going to deter or alter McCarthy's performance in week 1 against Chicago for the good or for the bad. If McCarthy plays good against the Bears, I'm not going to look back against the Houston Texans and say, that's why, because of that experience. And if he plays bad, I'm also not going to look back on that outcome against the Houston Texans and say, you should have got him more time. He should have played week 2 or week 3 in the preseason, but he did not play enough. I do not see in any way, because I'm truly, really trying to, I do not see in any way, there's not a single part of me that thinks a series or 2 of preseason experience is going to be valuable experience for JJ McCarthy going forward. The Vikings are risking their season. Because if he goes down, then you're screwed. And if he goes down again, then lingering questions about McCarthy's health are going to be factored in and considered. So don't do it. Change your mind. Take him out. Can't believe this is a conversation. And I know the fanboys are going to come at me. I don't give a shit. My opinion. Thanks for joining the show. Appreciate you. Hit that subscribe button on YouTube, follow button wherever you're listening. Thanks for making this podcast part of your day, a podcast that is unafraid to fire opinions. 100% honest 100% of the time. Everyone, I hope you have a good day.